Today, I want to talk to you about the importance of canine nutrition. Why is it important to feed your pet high quality food? Without a doubt, providing quality food for your canine family member is a definite way any pet owner can help improve their dog's longevity and quality of life. Something as simple as following proper nutrition guidelines can result in fewer skin conditions, less itching, fewer ear infections, shinier coats, better muscle tone, stronger bones, more energy, better temperament, and even immediate and noticeable physical benefits. In the end, your pup will feel better overall and be happier. Since I've been a professional dog trainer, I'm often asked, what should I feed my dog? Or what's the best choice for training treats or snacks that I can give my dog? An excellent source of information that I often rely on comes from the holistic canine nutritionist, Dr. Karen Becker. She has a YouTube channel, website, and a book that is an excellent resource when it comes to canine nutrition. According to Dr. Becker, when looking for quality and nutritious dog food, the first and most important step is to make sure you know where the pet food is coming from and where it is made. It's really unfortunate that pet food quality control testing is not an industry standard, but the good news is that ethical pet food companies voluntarily choose to test their food. Dr. Becker strongly encourages getting your pet's food from a company that has quality control protocols in place, such as batch testing to ensure the food is pathogen-free. Taking these first couple of steps can help assure that you are not only feeding your pet something healthy, but you are also ensuring the food itself is safe. Dr. Karen Becker also highlights foods for specific stages of life. Pet foods are formulated as either all life stages or individual life stages. When you purchase food for all life stages, it's not tailored to a specific stage of life. However, a dog's life is not one size fits all. Dogs require specific nutrients for different stages of life. For a puppy, you may want to seek out food formulated for growth, and then you want to seek out food formulated for maintenance when looking at adult dogs. Next, I want to discuss a dog's natural diet, meaning what would a dog or its ancestor, the gray wolf, eat in the wild? I'm telling you right now, you're not going to find potatoes, grains, or corn in a dog's natural diet. Some pet food companies use these types of ingredients not because they are nutritious, but because they are cheap fillers. Let's take a look at a couple of the ingredients list from common store-bought dog food. As you can see, there are entirely way too many carbohydrates and other highly processed ingredients. Dr. Becker recommends only feeding foods that are biologically appropriate, natural, and without fillers. Really what it comes down to is the more ingredients that come from whole and fresh foods means the less to no synthetic vitamins being added to your pet's food. I want to highlight one more aspect of canine nutrition, and that is the tendency for pet owners to feed too much food. More often than not, this is due to the lack of knowledge of proper feeding requirements. It's no wonder that pet obesity is on the rise, and some pet food companies are not helping by intentionally recommending too much food. If you think about it, the more food your dog consumes, the more you'll need to buy, and the more a company can profit. If you have a 15-pound dog that spends the majority of their time laying down with little interest to exercise, you can easily overfeed them when following the standard feeding guidelines found on most labels. Alternatively, an active dog who zips around or spends the day working will need more calories than the couch potato and might not be receiving the correct amount of food when following the standard feeding guidelines. So how much should you be feeding your pet and when? Ethical food companies tend to have detailed feeding instructions and sometimes will even feature a meal calculator on their website. These calculators allow you to input your dog's age, ideal weight, activity level, and how many calories per serving are in the food you are feeding your dog. Using a calculator and monitoring your dog's weight to find the perfect amount of food for your dog will produce a more favorable outcome than blindly following, oftentimes very confusing dog food labels. What I do and recommend others do is weigh your dog's food. This way you know exactly how much you're feeding your dog, and if you need to adjust, it becomes very simple and straightforward. If you're training your dog and using mealtime for training time, but you also want to add treats or snacks, then weigh your dog's food daily in the morning. So your entire dog's daily intake weighed in the morning and grab from that throughout the day. When you run out, you know that your dog has consumed all their food for that day. This is especially helpful if multiple people are feeding or training the dog because it will help prevent accidentally overfeeding. Now that we've gone over what the wrong thing to feed your dog, let's talk about what you should be looking for when it comes to feeding your pet. Dr. Becker recommends a biologically correct diet for a carnivore, which is high moisture, high protein, healthy fats, and low carbohydrates. The best diet is a balanced, unprocessed, and species-appropriate diet, and one that dogs are designed to eat in the wild. Dr. Becker lists a raw diet as the optimal diet for a dog. In general, a raw diet is what a dog was designed to eat. Dogs are some of the most resilient animals and have been able to survive being fed foods they were never designed to eat. Unfortunately, surviving does not necessarily equal thriving. The pet food that you buy from the store has only been around for a little bit more than 100 years. Animals such as dogs and their ancestors have been eating whole animals for millions of years. That means for 99.9% of the time on this earth, dogs have consumed a diet of fresh foods, leaving 0.1% of the time consuming highly processed foods. It's no coincidence that the cancer rate is skyrocketing among our pets since the creation of pet food. In fact, there's a nonprofit that I worked with a few years back called Keto Pet Sanctuary, and they understand that with roughly 6 million dogs being diagnosed with cancer each year in the United States, they believe they can change those statistics by changing the dog's meals from kibble to a raw ketogenic diet. They also found that their data supports the idea that a raw ketogenic diet can lower blood glucose, reduce inflammation, and improve insulin sensitivity. You can learn more about the incredible work they do by checking out their website, ketopetsanctuary.com, which will also be in the description of this video. To put it simply, your pet's organs are working overtime to digest and absorb species-inappropriate nutrients from a processed diet. This is why Dr. Becker recommends a nutritionally balanced, raw, homemade diet. However, it is important not to guess when preparing your dog's meals at home. There are some misleading recipes that lack proper minerals, antioxidants, and nutrients needed for a truly balanced diet. For your convenience, I'll drop the links containing recipes recommended by Dr. Karen Becker herself. While the idea of having complete control over every ingredient is optimal, it is understandable between a lack of resources or time that a homemade raw diet may not be sustainable. That's okay. Dr. Becker also recommends purchasing commercially available balanced raw food diets when homemade is not feasible. A good resource to check out for commercially made dog food in any form is dogfoodadvisor.com. This website gives reviews based on a 5-star rating system. Now, it's not perfect, but it can at least provide some guidance. I would recommend sticking to only 5-star brands. Also keep in mind that the ratings are based on the food type, meaning kibble is rated against kibble. Just like a white belt in martial arts competes against other white belts and not black belts. If we want to base dog food in simple order from worst to best just based on the type of food, the order would be kibble, then canned, then dehydrated, like the companies Honest Kitchen or Sojos, then freeze-dried, and then raw. Raw is what I feed my dogs Ari and Charlie and what I recommend to my clients. I can personally attest to the benefits of a raw diet from the dramatic drop in the amount of shedding, more regular bowel movements, shinier coats, overall muscle definition and fitness, as well as improved dental health. Speaking of dental health, since this is commonly asked, I'll quickly break down what I provide my dogs to help maintain healthy gums and canines. 1, as you already know and what I've already mentioned, is I feed my dogs a raw diet. 2, about every 3 days or so, I give my dogs a yummy comb. These are treats that have been designed to floss our dog's teeth all the way to the gum line. The treat's honeycomb holes are designed to surround the dog's teeth, while the higher outer edges are supposed to massage your dog's gums and then scrape the plaque around and between the teeth. 3, once a week I give my dogs a raw bone with grass-fed raw beef and bone marrow. Raw bones like this work to scrape away plaque and tartar. Just be sure to take the bone away when all the meat has been consumed. The reason for this is that some dogs will grind their canines on the raw bone, which can start to wear them down. 4, it's also good practice to brush your dog's teeth weekly or even daily. And lastly, every 6 months or so, I take my dogs to get non-anesthetic ultrasonic dental cleaning. This is usually enough to keep my dog's canines and gums healthy and clean. Now, what about training and using treats or food to motivate the dog that you're working with? Well, if you're still doing continual reinforcement, meaning you're still rewarding every correct behavior, and money is no object, then I would suggest using freeze-dried dog food. It provides most of the nutrients that a full raw diet does, but it's much easier to handle for training than raw would be. If money is an object, then I would recommend using something like Stella and Chewy's freeze-dried coated kibble. It's still kibble, but it's a higher quality and it's great for training. And since we're on the subject, it's important to mention that each dog in training should be in one of 3 stages for each command. First stage is when the dog still needs the physical cue to complete the behavior. Basically, the dog is still not able to do the behavior on the command alone. If you're on this stage, then you're still on continual reinforcement. The next stage is when your dog is able to do the behavior on the command alone. When you first enter this stage, you'll do one of 2 things when your dog does the commanded behavior. Either you'll still mark and reward, or you'll give your dog verbal praise such as, "Good boy, nice job." After doing this for a few weeks, you'll move on to the final stage of rewards. For each correct behavior, you'll do one of 3 options. Either you'll mark and reward, you'll give verbal praise, or you won't say anything at all, no reward. This is the goal for each command, that your dog can perform the requested commands but doesn't always need to be rewarded for each correct repetition. Now, I understand that for some, a raw diet is not always affordable. If you can't afford to feed an all-fresh raw diet, you can offer fresh food snacks. If you feed your dog 14 times in a week, try making 2 to 4 unprocessed meals or whatever you can afford. Maybe you can't afford a completely balanced diet for every meal, but you can provide some fresh food as snacks. That's okay too. Just like us humans, some fresh food is better than no fresh food. The best thing you can do is work towards providing the best food you can afford to feed your pet. And on a final note, what about human food? Often I'll hear people say proudly, "I never give my dog human food." Now, this is great if their definition of human food is fast food. However, there's nothing wrong with giving your dog natural, raw foods from the grocery store. Often when I'm cooking, I'll give my dog small bites from the raw ingredients. And if I'm unsure of a certain ingredient, a quick Google search will often let me know if it's okay or if it's not okay to feed my dog. Just like with anything, the key word is moderation. For a little bit of perspective, the longest living dog was an Australian Kelpie named Maggie that lived 30 years. The owner said that he fed her primarily a raw diet, including raw goat milk, and that she would get plenty of daily exercise on his farm. So this may be a good method to follow if you want your dog to live the longest and healthiest life possible. I hope everyone enjoyed today's video. As always, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. If you want one-on-one help, I do offer in-person lessons as well as Zoom training sessions. If you want to support the channel, you can by liking, subscribing, or becoming a patron. You can also order a copy of my dog training manual, get one of my shirts, shop at my store, or share these videos. Thanks again, and I will see you all next week.